I was just pitching to a few people, including the makeup artist, that one of my dreams is to work with Sam Neill. And I shouldn't say this publicly. Actually, it's really embarrassing. I've got a role for him. I've written a script and I've got a role that's specifically for him. Yeah, so directing Sam Neill, and also I really want to work on Country Calendar. Hello, my name is Kathleen Winter. I mostly grew up in like the Manawatu, like real middle New Zealand. Yeah, I've been in like Porneke, Wellington for the last decade, so I kind of call it home. Thinking about how to talk about diversity, I really appreciated the kind of first conversation that we had about this, where we both acknowledged that we kind of hate the word diversity, to be honest, and I think that's common for most people who are kind of put in diverse boxes. We're working in an industry and a society which is like has very strict norms. I mean, I don't think I always saw myself as an outsider. Like, I have the massive privilege of being Pākehā in New Zealand, and it was only, I think, going through film school. The sexism was wild. We hadn't had a chance to prove ourselves, so we were just kind of like given roles, and all the women were given like makeup and wardrobe. And I remember some of my classmates being like, I don't wear makeup, I've never done makeup in my life. But like, because they were a woman, that's what was happening in the film industry. I started making more documentary, and I started making more stories that were just about the people around me. And that meant that my work became more queer. Like, as a member of the queer community, it means that those are the people in my life and those are the stories that I'm excited about telling. We're at a time where diverse voices are getting a lot more opportunities and being celebrated, but it's also like, who has the ability to give us those opportunities and who also benefits from our storytelling. I was pitching a few short documentaries and I had some like really good stuff, like, not to brag, but I was pitching some very good ideas. But none of them were queer, just, they just happened to be documentaries based in other communities. Then at the end, they were kind of like, look, thank you for coming in. We love diversity. We're really into diversity. And we were just wondering if you have any like LGBT stories. Like, do you have any LGBT films you could pitch us? And I was just like, that's why I'm here. You're not interested in me as a filmmaker who happens to come with this identity and lived experience, which I can bring to my art. You're interested in me as an avenue to a type of content which is currently trending. That's a very cynical way of reading it, but that's how it did feel at that time. And I think it's especially important when we're talking about documentary, because when we're talking about documentary, we're talking about real people's lives and real communities, and then the filmmakers are the access to those communities. This is the little like screening invitation for a very low budget, tiny indie documentary that I made a number of years ago about a local print shop that was closing down. That was called Datastream Instant Print. This is a DVD of the film that the subjects of the film went and got made themselves. So that felt like quite a beautiful experience. So what I'm working on right now is, the working title is Nobody Wins. Ooh. With a Z. What I'm wanting to do in this case is raise awareness about the fact that our welfare system is like inherently deeply, deeply broken. And to do that as a Black comedy. So that's a really cool experimental process, mostly for genre with me, in terms of like, how do we get that tonal balance of acknowledging the reality, but making it funny enough, but making it respectful of those stories.